Good evening, everyone. This is the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting for October 29, 2018. This meeting is being video recorded and televised live on Raleigh Community Media. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll have a period of public comment from 7:10 to 7:15 p.m. First item on the agenda is a 7:15 public hearing. So we have some time. I'll go through general business first. General business number 1 is an invitation to attend the Rural Policy Advisory Commission of Essex County listening session on November 4th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Anyone interested in attending? Okay. General business number 2 is a request from the Raleigh Girl Scouts Brownie Troop number 62660 to hold annual caroling on the town common and a tree lighting event on December 2nd, 2018 from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And the coordinators for the event are Jennifer Johnson and Deanna Ziev. Someone want to make a motion to approve the request?
Thank you. I'll give you that motion. I'll second.
The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. General business number 3 is a request from the Pine Grove School PTA to hang a Pine Grove School annual craft fair banner on the town common backstop. Someone like to make a motion to approve the request?
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, for 2 weeks before the event. You can put the banner on. I think that's our normal time frame.
I'll second that. 2 weeks.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to new business. New business number 1 is the MIIA retiree health insurance is up for renewal effective January 1, 2019. And the town has good news on that. There is will be a 0% increase in the health insurance rates. However, there are tier changes to certain prescription drugs under the plan. A sample list of medications that are moving from Tier 1 to either Tier 2 or Tier 3 is attached. So we need to make a motion. I'd like someone to make a motion to renew the health insurance coverage.
I'll give you that motion to renew.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. New business number 2.
Excuse me.
Yes, Bernie.
How much does this amount to? And what is the actual retiree health insurance total expense? And it's not going up by...
It's not going up.
So this is, it's flat, there's no increase on it.
Right.
Right,
So
so what is it? How much is
Well,
it?
it's what it is right now. That's a calendar year basis for retirees, so it would already be in your budget, Mr. Cohen.
Okay,
Individual, $398.43 for this is retiree health insurance.
that's per month? Per year?
Correct.
Per month?
That's the full rate
For a month, yeah.
per month.
Okay. So it's essentially $5,000 a year per retiree.
Well, the town picks up 52%, and the employee pays 48% above. That's
It's under $2,000 per
yeah.
employee.
Okay, the public comment period has started. New business number 2 is a letter from Kevin Riley expressing interest in serving as an alternate of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I'll read his letter. To whom it may concern, please accept this as a letter of interest to fill one of the vacant Appeals Associate memberships on the Zoning Board. I recently purchased a home on Bennett Hill Road and moved to Raleigh. Since I am new to the town, I feel this would be a great way to become a member of the community. Professionally, I manage a group of project managers that lease space to wireless carriers on cellular towers owned by our company. This opportunity will also allow me to learn more about the zoning process and would benefit me in my current role. My resume is attached. Please feel free to reach out with any questions that may come up. Thank you, Kevin Riley. We have a copy of his resume and also an email from Chairman Don Thurston of the Zoning Board of Appeals requesting that the Board of Selectmen appoint Mr. Riley to the position of Zoning Board of Appeals alternate member.
I'll give you the motion, Mr.
I'll
Chairman.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
You could send along with that to him, this is the citizen collaborative, for training, and that might be helpful for a new member.
Absolutely,
Yeah, and I think there's gonna be some courses at the end of the month over
Mr.
at the
Chairman, we
Merrimack
have
Valley.
circulated that to the ZBA. We'll make sure we get a supplementary copy to that directly to Mr. Riley.
I believe there's a course at the end of
There's a few of
November.
them. The new session just started.
Okay, old business number 1, which is the Pine Grove School project update. Joe, anything you want to?
I don't have anything new to add after last week. I know that the new music room and the new art room are being used by the teachers, and the kids are thrilled with it. They've taken out all of the steel in the all-purpose room, so that they are working on that to get it ready for the end of December. And they are working in the kitchen area, so things are moving along very well.
Okay, thank you. Old business number 2 is the fire station and police station addition project update. Heating and air conditioning systems have been installed in the police station. Telecommunication systems are being installed in the police station. Drywall is being installed in the fire station. Asphalt binder was put in last week. Anything else to add, Dave? Or?
No, just the biggest thing was the asphalt binder, so people can really take a look at what it's gonna look like up there in terms of the two buildings. The police are in the process this week of moving in little by little. As I said before, November 1st, E911 from the state will be in to change over the 911 dispatch system to the temporary quarters in the new building, at which time the department will vacate and the old building will be renovated. And then when that's all renovated, the communications will move back into the old building. In the meantime, prisoners, et cetera, are being held elsewhere till the building's in complete use. So everything's going along really well at this point.
What
on
happens to
schedule.
the PSAT? There's
What?
the PSAT, you know, when you call into the center?
That's gonna be in the new training room.
It's over in the training room.
In
Okay.
the new building, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Old business number 3 is to review the Triton landlord-tenant agreement document for the Pine Grove School. I believe we discussed this at our last meeting, or perhaps it was a meeting before that. But since then, it's been referred to Town Council Tom Mullen, and he has suggested a number of changes. I've looked at his changes. I think they're all very appropriate. Any further discussion of the agreement?
No, I looked through it, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with you. It looks,
I think it's a
it looks fine,
well-drafted
well
document.
drafted. Yes, I
Yep.
think it took in all the points that we made as far as
Yep.
suggestions.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion to approve the agreement as revised by Tom Mullen?
Hold on one second, you want
I
to?
just want to make sure, does the board have any comments on anything that Attorney Mullen presented? He just want to make sure.
I
the
read
board had a
through
chance.
it in detail, and I didn't have
Okay.
anything.
Yeah, I agree with all those changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve
Second.
it as amended by our attorney.
The motion's been made and
Second.
seconded. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, should that be forwarded to, the
Brian
school,
forwarded it, yeah.
Superintendent? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. I would think so.
With a copy to Narissa.
Right.
And to Chairwoman Nurse Wong?
Right.
Okay.
Old business number 4 is to discuss the Town Hall Annex Accessibility Improvements Project. The board previously rejected the one bid for the Annex Accessibility Improvement Project because it came in over budget. The most urgent component of this project is the replacement of the annex handicap ramp and handicap door. Debbie is asking for approval to have CBI, which is the town's architect, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Modify the construction documents and specifications for the annex ramp and door and assist with the rebidding process. And CBI has submitted a bid for that scope of work and has indicated that it can perform that work for the price of $6,800. So,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we need that done so we can rebid the ramp. The ramp's desperately in need of being replaced. We'd like to move ahead with that project as soon as we can. So the sooner we bid it out, the better off we're gonna be.
I'll give you that motion.
I'll second.
motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it. So let's still got 3 minutes before the public hearing. So I'll move on to the minutes. We have a set of minutes from October 15, 2018. All of us attended, were in attendance.
I'll give you a motion for October 15th, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes has been made. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We have a second set of minutes
I'll make the motion to approve.
Bob, you were absent.
Yeah, abstain.
For October 22, 2018. Any seconds?
Second.
The motion to approve the minutes of October 22 has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Abstain.
Okay, we've still got a couple minutes. Any public comments before we close the public comment period?
Mr. Chairman, could you just ask if the audience is all signed in on this sheet?
Would everyone make sure that they sign in the attendance sheet? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, public comment will end in
A minute?
1 minute.
Yeah, good. What are our restrictions as far as liquor licenses are concerned? Now, is tonight, are we going to vote on whether a liquor license will be approved or not? And is at that time any public comment made?
Are you talking about the Briar Bar then?
Correct.
Yes, we will be voting on whether to issue a license, and abutters will be entitled to comment on that. So we're just waiting for 7:15, and actually I think we're close enough, so I'll get going. We have a public hearing on an application filed by the Briar Barn Inn LLC for an all-alcohol annual hotel liquor license at 101 Main Street in Rowley. I'll read the notice of the public hearing that was published in, this is the Newburyport Daily News, Debbie?
That's right.
Notice is hereby given in accordance with Chapter 138 of Mass General Laws as amended that the Rowley Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, October 29, at 7:15 p.m. in the Rowley Town Hall, Rowley, Mass. Upon application of Briar Barn Inn LLC, Principal Briar Forsyth, this is difficult to read, Fandetti, 28 Ashbury Street, Topsfield, on an application for an all-alcohol annual hotel liquor license. Business located at 101 Main Street, consisting of a 30-room inn, a 100-seat restaurant and spa. Liquor license would cover 21,077 square feet of the inn, 4,755 square feet of the restaurant, inclusive of the attached Bramble House, and 1,800 square feet of the spa. Liquor license would also cover 13,000 square feet of outdoor area, consisting of the courtyard, terrace, and fire pit and patio. Anyone wishing to comment should attend the hearing. Written comments will be accepted. Okay, I'd like first to ask for a motion to open the hearing.
Give that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion to open the hearing has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. I'd first like to call the applicants forward and ask that they present themselves and discuss their application. Yes, in the first row, that's great.
Yes. I'm Briar Forsyth Fandetti, the owner, Briar Barn Inn LLC. And this is Monique.
I am Monique Jeffrey, the Director of Events for Briar Barn Inn and Willowdale Estate.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, the applicant has paid all taxes, water bills, and electric bills. They intend to apply for an alteration of the premises at a future date to include the pool area. The town's health department, town planner, building inspector, police chief, and fire chief have reviewed the application and have made comments. The town planner, police chief, those comments have been responded to by the applicant. And at this point, the town planner, the police chief, and the fire chief are all satisfied with the responses. The building inspector has also told us that he has no concerns about the application. We do, however, have some continuing comments from the health department, the Board of Health, which has identified some discrepancies between the liquor license plan and the permitted septic system, which was approved for a maximum seating capacity of 100. The health agent's comments are below. Hi, Debbie. No, the health department needs clarification from the design engineer on how the Bramble House impacts the septic system. At this time, it is unclear if the plans provided for the liquor application are in compliance with the permitted septic system. When the design engineer provides clarification, the health department's concerns will be addressed. The Board of Selectmen may choose to close or continue the hearing. It does not affect the health department's request for clarification, which would be needed for the food license. I hope this helps. If there's still confusion, please let us know. We did receive a letter from a Rowley resident, Joel Barrett and Kate Turner.
Kate Turner is present.
If it's okay with you, I'll read your letter.
Please do, and then I can qualify it if needed or if there are any questions.
Okay. And your address is 139 Main Street?
100 Main Street. Is there a typo in the letter?
Oh, no, sorry, that's the Board of Selectmen's address. No, it's 100 Main. Dear Chairman, as residents of 100 Main Street, Rowley, we'd like to address the applications for a liquor license by Briar Barn Inn, LLC, Principal Briar Forsyth Fandetti, 28 Ashbury Street, Topsfield, before the Board of Selectmen, Town of Rowley. We are very supportive of the Briar Barn Inn and its opening of a high-quality inn at 101 Main Street in Rowley. We believe that the venture will be a real asset to the town and its historic district. However, we'd like the board to consider a few conditions to be attached to a liquor license if issued. One, limiting sale of alcohol to restaurant, spa, and function hall only. We don't believe that the applicant needs the ability to sell alcohol throughout the entire complex, especially the 13,500 square feet of outdoor area consisting of the courtyard, terrace, fire pit, and patio, nor do we feel the applicant needs to serve alcohol in the 30-room inn or the historic pre-existing home in order for their business venture to be successful. We are particularly concerned that outdoor service of alcohol would be detrimental to the atmosphere of the neighborhood because of the potential for increased noise levels and intoxicated behavior associated with alcohol consumption. Limiting the hours of alcohol sales. We suggest that the license limit alcohol sales to 10 p.m. Such a limit would decrease the likelihood of late-night disturbances while giving the applicant the ability to successfully serve customers, patrons, and guests. If the board decides to require either of these conditions, we ask that it codify the conditions in the formal alcohol license for the Briar Inn. We wish our new neighbors the best and much success and look forward to the opening of North Shore's finest lodging offering. And you said you wanted to add something to that?
Yes, this is, again, I want to reiterate, again, Kate Turner, 100 Main Street, that we are completely supportive of the Briar Barn Inn, very exciting to see them up and running. And again, it's sort of a recognition of the family-friendly nature of this town. Yesterday, the activities on the Common, I think, are indicative of how people congregate together. You know, children of all ages, and you know, we want to give people who are having a good time and enjoying alcohol the benefit of the doubt. You know, but it is a fact that there can be some disruption and increase in noise level associated with that activity. And so we in no way want to inhibit or interfere with the Briar Barn's business operations, but just simply that some consideration be given to these points. Possibly a setback from the road, not necessarily that alcohol couldn't be served outside anywhere, but, you know, a sort of a no alcohol beyond this point when you get close to the sidewalk, which is where, you know, families and their children stream by on a very regular basis. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other residents or abutters who would like to make a comment?
No.
Sir?
I am in a butter, I'm 103 Main Street. And
Could you state your name, please?
Peter Womas.
Thank you.
I approve the Briar Barn. I look forward to it opening and that kind of thing. I did want to know about restrictions of time as far as how late alcohol would be served, and along with that, how many people would there be before there would have to be an officer, let's say, available to cover, let's say, control of the situation. Of course, we don't want to think that anything but alcohol would cause problems in the neighborhood. And where it would be just open to the full property, I think it's too much, way too much. I think that any restaurant that you go to that wouldn't have alcohol would be a lousy place to go. So I think that having an alcohol license would be fine and dandy, and then as far as like being able to serve or drink alcohol in your room, I think that's acceptable too. Unless it gets to be after hours where, you know, we've had a wedding and now wedding and reception is all over and they gather in the motel to carry on. And it, you know, where does it go from there? Who do you call and at what time? Do you call the police or do you call the manager?
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant's representative like to discuss the comments that have been made up to this point?
Of course. We first would like to say that we 100% respect the town and the family-friendly aspect of it that is important to the historic nature of this specific area. And to address the first comment, for as far as alcohol service is concerned within the property, so at the restaurant there is a terrace abutting the restaurant. That's the only area that we would intend to serve alcohol as part of the restaurant. So it is set back from the sidewalk. The front buildings are not used for alcohol service at all. They're not part of the restaurant. They're office buildings where alcohol service will not be allowed.
Is the terrace behind the restaurant building, or?
It's in front of the restaurant,
Oh, front.
which
So it's
is,
down the side a little.
yeah, adjacent, almost pretty much
Like-
adjacent to the entrance of the inn.
Yeah.
So it's very close, but there will be a fence
Yeah.
gating that off to make it very clear that that's part of restaurant service only, and that will only be used weather dependent.
So like an al fresco experience of the restaurant.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
kind of the idea.
The health department had commented on that as far as the septic system goes, and saying, so I want to clarify that those alfresco seats will, if they are used outside, they will not be used inside. So the restaurant still is 100 seats maximum. We would never put 100 in and then 20 out. It would be 80 in and
We
20 out.
adjust the seating based on, okay, today the patio is open. So then it gets adjusted.
So, alcohol service there, yes, we would like to do that, but for quiet hours, we do have a 10 o'clock quiet hour on outside seating or any kind of people being outside at all. So including the fire pit, after 10 o'clock, people have to
And
be
that was-
inside.
Yeah, and that was definitely an important thing to me as the owner too, that I felt I didn't want to have guests who are staying at the inn disrupt other guests and other people in the area, that they're outside hanging at the fire pit or just kind of outside. So it definitely was a policy that I wanted to have from the beginning, where, you know, you can be inside the inn in your room or in the lobby, but kind of hanging out outside was not something that I wanted to encourage. So that having the restaurant close at a certain time, also having, for example, pool and the fire pit, that we would have signs out there saying it is closed now. So, and then our front desk manager, we're having round the clock front desk staff would go out and say, I'm sorry, you have to come in, like, this is closed now. So that there's policy in place just for operationally for us, because it is a horseshoe shape building around a courtyard, and then the fire pit and the barn is like kind of next to that. So it would be very disruptive to have people out there too late. So that's definitely something.
So, I'm sorry.
I'm looking at here,
Yeah.
it's quite set back from the.
It's set back from the front, but it's close to the inn. So my concern as an owner, for hospitality's sake, just for inn guests, so many inn guests are different. Right, so the barn is right there.
Ms. Turner, you're
You know.
located whereabouts on this?
Excuse me. Let's see, Main
Here's the
Street.
here's the terrace, the fire pit.
And then that's the front
here's the
side.
office. Okay, so we're directly here. We're at 100 Main Street,
Okay.
directly across the street from the main building.
Okay, so they're set back.
Yeah, and Pete is over here. So this courtyard,
Okay.
though, wasn't the courtyard also something that was held out as a place where alcohol could be
This is the
served?
courtyard within the middle of the highlighted section. Is what
Yeah.
we were in.
This courtyard.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
Okay, not this one.
that,
here.
Correct.
not that.
So,
No.
so in other words, in the application, or at least in terms of how you plan to use the application and the rights under the application, it's these yellow highlighted areas
Yeah.
where you expect the service to take place?
Correct.
And you intend to stop serving at 10?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Well,
sorry.
So, Peter, you see that? Okay.
So if it's the yellow areas, that
Yeah.
does not include the pool, but it does include the spa.
Correct. So the pool, we will be refiling for a pool application.
Oh, okay. That's not before.
At the beginning of 2019, the pool area will not be open until next summer.
Yeah.
So it won't
So-
even be built. And the spa, we were requesting alcohol to be able to be served in the spa, but it would only be for events purpose only. So if the spa, for example, if a bride wanted to have her bridesmaids, and it's only a 10-person maximum, so it's very small. But if she decided to buy it out,
That's indoor, right?
correct,
all
indoor,
indoor.
not outdoor.
Yeah.
So that's just event specific.
So the outdoor is
The terrace.
the terrace, the fire pit.
Yep, and
Right.
the fire pit is not. It's more so for an in guest to take a glass of wine there and just enjoy it, but not actual
Not to order anything. Someone can't sit at the fire pit and order a drink.
or over. and
They
over.
would maybe have something, maybe that they got from their room and brought it over, or they finished dinner and then they just want to finish their wine and go down to the fire pit.
And the courtyard, that would be the.
The courtyard
rear
itself, No, we're not gonna have any, there's a
Service?
porch out, there's a little porch that comes off the lobby, so
Yes.
people would sit there. But I'm actually really encouraging, creating policies that I don't want people hanging out in the courtyard. We designed it actually that way where it has walkways. There's rooms on the ground floor, so I'm not putting benches or any seating area. It's basically these quadrant of gardens and the walkway, and the walkway's purpose is so someone can cut through the courtyard to go to their room on the other side instead of walk through the whole inn. And so I'm being very strategic with, I don't want hanging out in the courtyard. You can hang out on the porch, the fire pit, those are for inn guests, and then the restaurant's for anyone coming to the restaurant.
Is this a gas fire? Is it fire pit? Is that-
It's propane, but
propane.
we're probably not gonna obviously start it up until next spring. So we have something that we put in, but we're still deciding, like, masonry wise, how do we want it to look? So it's basically being capped off for now until we
It's not wood,
decide.
it's propane.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, exactly.
Also, the Board of Health had asked for clarification on the Bramble House. So for that, that is not part of restaurant seating. That is event space only. So it doesn't exceed the capacity of the space or our occupancy, because it would be essentially, we have a 75-person wedding. They have their cocktail hour in the Bramble House. So at that point, they're in that space only. No one is in the main barn area. And then after cocktail hour, they would come back into that main space, and the Bramble House would be vacant at that point. So it's not intended for alcohol use when the restaurant is open to the public.
Yeah.
It's only for
Okay.
event specific.
Yeah.
So, outdoor service, it would close to shut down at 10 PM. What about indoor service?
For indoor service, we were requesting to have an 11:30 alcohol license end. As that's based off of a lot of research that we've done from other restaurants in the area that would stay open. Of course, like, depending on the need. So we're not intending to always keep it open till 11:30 if there's not a need, if there's no people. But that would be the latest that we would ever ask to sell alcohol until.
I'm a little confused about the bar areas.
Sure.
In other words, you've got awful lot of green here on the chart, looking at the same chart. So I guess my question is, the bar is gonna be in the restaurant.
Correct.
There are two bars. One that is in the main restaurant, the barn area, the biggest one, and then there's a side bar on the we call it the Burrow. Those are the two main restaurant bars that would be open at the
Where is
same
the Burrow?
time. Burrow is
Right here.
right
Oh,
here.
it's still
It's
part of the
barn.
restaurant, the
Yeah.
barn, the
Yeah.
barn restaurant.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That space, the Burrow is open. Is the intention of it is to be able to be open to patrons and residents of the community, even if we are having an event, so they can still enjoy dinner there. So that's why there's two separate bars. 'Cause
All right, so I'm
it's
not sure why you're requesting
alcohol service in the inn.
20,000 square feet or whatever the amount is, because in other words, you're not gonna be delivering drinks over to,
We would intend to do room service, yes.
Beer and wine and mixed, like, little nips in a mini bar.
and that would come from the restaurant bar?
We were hoping to have a mini bar in the rooms.
Oh, okay, you mean in the refrigerator,
In
like
the
you go in and you can buy a
Correct.
nip in the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or they can or they could purchase alcohol through us, through Worm Service, to be brought to them, like a glass of wine or a beer.
Because generally people who are staying at inns do like to have wine or some alcohol in their room, and if you have a liquor license, they can't bring their own. And so
We don't
we
want them to
didn't
bring
want
their own.
hospitality-wise to say, I'm sorry, you can't drink anything in your room, you have to only drink it in the restaurant. So that was kind of the reasoning for wanting to do the room service.
Now, the outdoor areas, according to the state regulations anyway, you're required to have a visible visibility by the bartender or the wait staff or the maitre d' or whoever gets service outside.
Yes.
Now, how would you be handling the room service alcohol? In other words, I'm a little concerned about, in other words, you know, when you're in the restaurant and that area is pretty well supervised.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, you know, if I could go to a motel, I'm just concerned that we're gonna start getting people wandering all over the place,
Within the inn.
within the inn or outside or over to the pool, or, I mean, that'll be a different issue at the time it comes, but in other words, I'm picturing that we gotta maintain some kind of control, and I'm getting the picture here that there really isn't much for control here to make sure that, I mean, you're in a residential area, it's not like, you know, it's not like a Holiday Inn off of Route 95 or
Yeah.
something, so that,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're very conscious of
Yeah.
maintaining, but we just wanna
Very
make
much
sure
so.
that when we give the license, I'm assuming we're gonna give you a license of some sort,
I do think the
that we have some main
policies,
control over
Yeah.
how it's given out and who
we
handles it,
definitely,
and what system you're gonna be using to monitor.
for room service, definitely that has to be, like, they have to call down and it has to be ordered, and then the bartender has to be doing it, and we know, as the server is bringing it, they know what they've ordered. So if they continue to call down and say, no, I want this, so all the bartenders and all the staff are tip certified, so they would be following similar rules for room service. So they can be easily as cut off as anyone who's at a bar or as anyone who's drinking anything. I do think for monitoring people walking through the halls or going down into the lobby or going outside and causing kind of ruckus situation. I know personally, as an owner, in the policies that we're putting together for our GM that will be overseeing the property, is that we don't want that type of behavior. And we will have very strict policies of, you know, they will be supervised. They will be, you know, we make sure that guests are not doing that type of thing. And we will have turn down service as well, so there will be housekeeping in the hallways and rooms during the evening shifts. Again, we have round the clock front desk service with management on. A lot of inns do kind of shut down the office a certain time, and then they have maybe a night manager person. I really, from my experience of doing a small inn in Cambridge and a hotel in Cambridge, I go more with, I think it's better hospitality and better management to have round the clock, someone out there at the front desk if there's any issues that come up, if there's someone being disruptive either to other guests or what have you. As much as we're trying to be luxury and upscale, you can't control everybody that comes in. And I feel the policies that I want to put in place that will allow the GM to make those those calls and also instruct her staff how to deal with guests that might be more challenging or difficult if they have ordered alcohol or if they become intoxicated in some ways. We definitely would shut that down very quickly. But we do want to be able, hospitality-wise, to really offer that option for ordering a bottle of wine for your room, not having to go down to the restaurant, get it, and then bring it back up. We prefer you actually have more control when you deliver it over allowing a guest to order a drink and walk it back themselves to their room. We prefer that method. We would be only allowing a guest who maybe has been eating dinner in the restaurant, and let's say they're an inn guest and they're wanting to finish up their bottle of wine, they could go down to the fire pit to do that, which is just like 2 steps down from the terrace. And obviously their waitress would know, they know that one of the reasons we do not want to take orders for alcohol at the fire pit is we want to manage the alcohol. We don't want just like a free-for-all happening. But we want to give the hospitality and not kind of have unreasonable oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to finish the wine here at your table, or, because we are trying to create like a complex where they have different experiences. Same with the porch, if they wanna sit outside and sit on the porch. But I definitely, do not wanna have situations that get out of control, and we want to kind of manage that. And I'm definitely building policies that will make it clear that the front desk manager has authority. The GM will be on call if there's issues like that. And if we're finding things are, you know, are difficult with maybe larger groups or something like that, we'll just be able to say, well, you know, this is what we can do for you, and this is what we can't do for you. We definitely, with bigger groups or a wedding, if someone is doing a wedding and they want some after party, we're not really wanting to give them all of these options to be like up until 3 a.m. because we're not actually wanting a group to disrupt other people in the inn or be disruptive. So that is one of my main goals as well.
Do you plan to have a closed circuit monitoring system?
We do want to have a security system,
Okay.
yes, for the grounds.
Monitoring, visual monitoring.
Visual, yeah, outside.
So that front desk can watch, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we're having some interior, which is the basement and that kind of stuff. We also are putting type of locks on the door that you have to be an inn guest to get in, and they lock at a certain time. So we are doing that as well.
And what time did you say you're gonna stop serving?
We're requesting
It was
until 11:30.
11:30 for inside.
The rest, yes.
Inside the restaurant.
And the room service.
So that means if in the inn would also be only till 11:30.
Correct.
Right. Right.
So I'm assuming, having been around the block a few times, that if someone's at a wedding and they want to drink in their room, they're probably gonna, I mean, then legally they can't do it, but I'm sure that
Right.
the local package store is gonna sell some six-packs and a couple of
And we
bottles of-
definitely
I
are-
mean, you can't stop, there's no way you can
can't
stop that, but I'm just,
we do, with our policies, especially with big groups coming in like that, we would be very clear in writing, like, these are the policies, and if we see something, it is confiscated.
I guess my
So
question
that's
boils down to, when we give the license, and this is something, a technical question, we're given a license to serve in the restaurant and the barn, do we also have to be licensed to bring drinks over to the inn
The hotel,
or the hotel?
through the ABCC, the hotel license, as long as the properties are adjacent to each other and right next to each other, it would cover the whole property.
Okay, so then if we did the spa too, in other words, if you're gonna have,
An event
some
or
ladies
something.
doing, the spa, I assume, is nails and
Yeah.
hair and stuff like that.
No
It's
hair.
nails only and a
Nails.
couple massage rooms.
Yeah, facials,
So
things like that.
that would be, the drinks would be brought over from the restaurant if they wanted
Correct.
something, or,
Correct. It
Correct,
would
like
be
if they
delivered to
wanted
them.
champagne or
I'm just
something.
concerned, I think you
Yeah.
get my drift, is I'm very concerned about controlling the distribution of
Absolutely.
the alcohol.
Yeah,
That's a real concern. The same thing with the outdoor stuff, in other words, that the state requires on our guidelines, clearly delineated, fenced in or roped in, or so that it's well controlled. You don't really want people wandering around. You are fairly far back from the street, so I'm not so
Yeah.
concerned about being out in the street as I am just excessive drinking.
yes, and that's
In the-
definitely,
in
as
the
an
area.
owner, I definitely, know that is gonna be part of our policies on how staff will be handling.
You have the place
that.
in Cambridge?
Yes, we do.
How do you handle that? Is that a problem with the inn, and you got a restaurant there too?
We have I think it's 87 rooms now, at the Kendall, it's called the Kendall Hotel, right in
Okay.
Kendall Square. And that has a small restaurant, and they do parties. And they don't do full room service, cause they just don't have the staff or a kitchen to do that, but they allow guests to come down, order, bring alcohol or wine to their room. And then our bed and breakfast we have does not have liquor license, so people are allowed to bring alcohol to the facility. So for the restaurant and the main hotel that we have, they haven't had, I haven't worked there myself in years, but I am always in touch with the GM. And she generally, it's like people are pretty respectful. I mean, the restaurant closes at a certain time. They actually close some nights at 9. And the front desk doesn't give out alcohol. Like, so if it's closed, it's closed. And only a few times did she kind of get people trying to bring in alcohol, and they did it in a much more like not understanding, not knowing you couldn't do that. And we just explained if you have a license, customers can't bring it in. But I kind of see once the restaurant, you know, people can be hanging out, and let's say it closes at 9, and they kind of trying to get the people out. Maybe they're hanging out till 9:30 or something like that. But once they've kind of wound down, they might finish their glass in their room, and it kind of is shutting down the lobby. So once that restaurant is closed for our hotel, it kind of makes people, oh yeah, I guess I should be moving on, or I should go out. And I think for us, once that restaurant is closed, the terrace is closed, no one, you know, we obviously have little lights going around so people can see the pathways, but we've tried to design it in that way. We've tried to design it in a certain way so it gets people, you know, to bed. Like the restaurant's open, now it's closed. So it's over here, and then you're going over here to your room. We're not having a lot of area where it's not supervised, you can't see. We're not having benches here and there all over the place. So it is easy, for example, the front desk manager could walk out front, look at the whole courtyard, they could see maybe someone being disruptive and immediately go deal with it. Again, also cameras that we're going to have, they'll be able to notice, oh, who's that person? And we're definitely training our staff to kind of follow the policies of we're trying to be very good, a business that is giving good hospitality, which means not letting other people disrupt other people. And that does happen in inns and hotels. I mean, it can definitely happen, and you have to have staff that knows how to deal with that. But we're also branding ourselves as an upscale luxury place, and we our alcohol menu reflects that as well, and for the rooms, you know, the alcohol menu is not going to be like everything under the sun you can order. So we feel that we really do understand a lot of the concerns that I've kind of heard tonight, and that I've had similar thoughts with creating policies that will enforce those concerns.
So you're saying the bar and the restaurant would be 11:30,
Yeah.
7 days a week, maximum?
To have that flexibility.
Right, I mean, you may be closing
You
at
might
9,
close
but
at
the
9,
the
but-
official hours would be, and then outside you're saying 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
10.
And then mosquitoes will chase you in a lot sooner than that.
They
will, yes.
It might even be early. We just
Greenheads will even chase you in before that, so.
yeah.
Kate, did you have another
I
question?
do, I have just two follow-up questions. Would you be willing to codify the 11:30 limit in your license?
No, that'll definitely be,
Yeah.
those hours will definitely be
Yeah.
a restriction on the license,
Okay.
for both inside and outside.
And then the other question is, it sounds like you're gonna try to promote a quiet period starting at 10 PM in all outdoor areas.
Yeah.
Once the restaurant closes at 11:30, which I think this was the intent,
Mhm.
are there indoor common areas where people can congregate for their continued merrymaking if they don't wanna be quiet after 10?
Well, they have the lobby of the inn,
But the
but
lobby
that is really
it's very small, and there's
Small
only
and-
two seats.
Okay,
So
so they
it's-
basically
there a
have to
bar?
go, they have to go to their room.
There is no bar in the
there's
lobby.
no bar in the lobby. Yeah.
No.
So they would have to go to their rooms
Correct.
or leave the premises.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I just wanted clarification, thank you.
And also, the lobby is on the ground floor where there are rooms
Mhm.
close to the lobby.
Mhm.
So I know for sure, I'm training my staff that if there's people rowdy, regardless alcohol or not, because people can be rowdy without it, that there's gonna be a quiet time. And so our staff will definitely interject and say, you know, you're being disruptive, because there's a room right there. So, definitely.
So how are you gonna supervise or monitor people at the fire pit?
The fire
It's
pit's
within-
very close to the terrace, so, I
And within
feel-
view of that second bar.
yeah.
Can it be seen from inside the bar?
The bar,
Yeah.
From the borough.
the burrow is here, there's a big window right here.
Oh.
And then there is, for example, the terrace being open, there will be most likely hostesses kind of more out front, because we don't want guests just to seat themselves at the terrace. They have to be seated. So I think when it's al fresco time and people are gonna be, we want people to sit outside, we would move our hostess station more outside, so that it's not like they have to go inside and then go outside, because the way the terrace is all open, someone could definitely just walk and sit down without being seated. They could miss the hostess. They might not go in the building. So I feel us having something like that visually outside would be keeping an eye on the fire pit as well.
I've got one unrelated question. Maybe you can answer, maybe you can't. As part of the original plan, you're gonna be, I'm on the cemetery commission, you're gonna be planting 18 trees along the cemetery line. Is there any status of those trees, or when? Maybe-
I don't know
If
that.
you don't know, could you maybe get back to
Sure.
the office here and find out for us? Just so-
Yeah.
Just, that comes up at every one of our meetings, so I just
Sure.
want to be able to, other than that, that's
I can find out
different
for sure.
subject, but if you could do that, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
Okay, any other questions? Brian?
How long is this license before it's subject to renewal?
Every year, I think, right?
Is it a year?
Yeah, it'll be a yearly
Every
license.
year.
right?
So it has to be renewed, so.
Yeah.
we can
Yeah, it's an
obviously-
annual.
Obviously, we can look at any problems that have developed there. How do we resolve this issue with the Board of Health, which has told us that it's unclear whether they're in compliance with the permitted septic system? They don't really specifically, they don't identify what the specific issue is.
Was this?
You've stated one issue, but we don't really know that that's all that they're concerned about.
Do you know if that was given, the Board of Health had sent comments to me and had responded, and the most recent one I had was more about
Seating
occupancy of
capacity.
the spa.
Mhm.
After I had clarified the use of the terrace and the restaurant, so I'm not sure if it's not the most up-to-date comment.
What was the date of this
This
message?
came in about 4:30
Okay, today?
Yes, because it
Okay.
was unclear from the health department. They had raised a number of issues that really didn't have to do with the liquor license. That was the food service permit and the septic system. So we went back to them and asked for clarification. Is there an issue with the food service permit? And apparently there isn't. Is there an issue with the septic? Is what they are reviewing, is what Frank Marcangiani is reviewing in terms of this application, is it consistent with what the health department approved on the septic? And he said no. And I think it has to do with the capacity, the 100-person capacity as it relates to whatever's permitted through Title V on the septic. And so there should be some follow-up with the health department if you've got your approval and it's based on this 100-person capacity, and, you're having qualifiers as to maybe people are moving from one area to another area and that they're not being counted, I guess, from the terrace to the restaurant. That hasn't been addressed by you directly on the septic, which isn't part of this proceeding.
Okay. We will abide by whichever the health department says for occupancy from that, so.
Yeah, it seems like what you said earlier, that if there was a 100 limit, that, if you had 80 there and 20 outside,
Right.
But
that was the restriction, it met the 100 limit, and that you weren't going over the 80 to.
Right, I think there was a question on the al fresco seating.
But
and
if the
then-
health department said that the occupancy needed to go down for whatever reason from a septic perspective, we would follow that and adjust our numbers from a liquor license perspective to whichever the health department would
Because we
say.
were approved for a 100-seat restaurant and a 30-room inn. So the 30-room inn includes all the guests there, for the septic. So therefore, it includes all those people. So those people could eat at the restaurant or not eat at the restaurant, you know.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we continue the hearing for a couple of weeks. Get a response from the health department, because I just want to make sure this is ironed out, because it sounds like it's kind of fluid as to how this is best going to be handled. In addition, I think before I'm anticipating that the license will be approved, it's just what the restrictions are going to be. I mean, that's my attitude. I don't know what the rest of the board feels, but I would very carefully like to make sure that what is approved on the license is agreeable to the board, rather than say, okay, we're gonna give you a license tonight. We'll do some homework in the next 2 weeks, that gives the health board time to come back, and if we keep the hearing open, if there are any other concerns, they can be addressed. And I just want to get a clear picture from both the owner and the people running the place. So we're all understanding clearly what's on the license and what the license allows and doesn't allow. I do have some concerns how we word this outside area and the motel, drinking in the motel, just something we haven't had before. We're used to having a restaurant with maybe an outside area, but no hotels or motels with it. And I just want to make sure that, even if we check with our attorney, just to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, so that they know exactly what their restrictions are, we know what they are, and if there's any violations, it's not a battle over, well, you said we could do this and we can't do that, or whatever. I'm not anticipating not getting a license, just making sure that it's all clearly in black and white as best we can do to confirm what everybody agrees to. So that would be my suggestion. But
What's your anticipated opening date? Sometime in December, right?
December, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Like first week.
so a 2-week continuance would not
Well,
really
it would be
disadvantage
tight,
it, would it?
I think, because then it doesn't have to be, it takes 10 days for,
I think the ABCC has up to 30 days to approve.
Well, 2 weeks would bring it to the 12th, and that's Veterans Day.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the opportunities for this hearing to be continued is November 5th or November 19th.
Well, 1 week should be sufficient, though, shouldn't it? To work,
think
work
it
out,
would-
you know, you just need to meet with the Board of Health
I
and
think so.
need to get them to send us something saying everything's good. And then, then we'll proceed with the decision to crafting the license.
because the only other thing is, if we have concerns, we can, where it's gonna be wintertime, we can restrict it to we can amend the January 1st, add in the outdoor areas, because you're not gonna be using those right now
Correct.
anyway, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a week is fine. I'm not sure I'll be ready by then myself, because I may not be at next Monday's meeting, but whatever the board decides is fine with me.
Okay.
I think 1 week.
1 week is good, okay.
Yeah, I would follow.
Before I ask for a motion to continue the hearing for a week, does anyone else have any comments? So we'll be continuing the public hearing, which means,
I think that the restaurant won't be open before they open. There's no gas available. Gas has not been brought in to the restaurant, so there is no kitchen, as to say. To rush your motion to get the liquor license within a week seems to be a little bit pushing it, I think, because there's no restriction. You don't need to have that before the restaurant is open.
Yeah.
Well, the inn is being opened in December. January is the restaurant, and we would want to be able to, if someone does want wine or something like that in their room, we would want to be able to offer that. And we do have a small fridge system in our basement of the inn, just for convenience sake. So that would be the only thing for us that we would want to tell someone when we first open. Well, Because if you don't have the license, they're allowed to bring in their own alcohol, and then to change the policy once we get the license.
Yeah,
And that is an issue for people staying at an inn. They do want to have something in the inn.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, a week is, gives us time just to get, make sure we're satisfied.
Yeah, I don't think we're rushing things. I mean, we should be plenty of time to clear up the Board of Health issue.
We do want to, obviously, you want to be prepared to open
Right.
exactly how you do things, so.
And we do understand the terrace and the outdoor space, so if there's something that you need more time to define that and figure out exactly what the language should be, we're not opening the terrace in January or having any of the grounds kind of available, you know, at
I
that
think
time, so.
The discussions around that I've heard here and outside is people are basically in favor. I don't think I've heard any, I've had no opposition voiced to me. It's just a matter of working out what the restrictions might be.
Right, the details.
On the license, for
Yeah.
the detail for the license. I think it's just important that we have it as complete as possible. No need to delay this a long period of time.
Right. No.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing
Until
till November 5th.
at 7:15?
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion to continue has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And you'll get the Board of Health and get us a letter if we need something in writing from them.
So we should reach out to them. too?
I would,
Oh,
if
yeah,
I were you,
okay.
I'd reach out to them, because that's
Yeah.
obviously their concern is with you
Yeah.
directly in terms of.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Our last item on the agenda is a public hearing on a possible suspension or revocation liquor license, of the liquor license of Rowley Veterans Association, 19 Bradford Street, Rowley. A letter was sent about this proposal to the RVA on October 16. It was addressed to the RVA and Mr. Stephen Morris. It was from Deborah Egan, Town Administrator. I'll read the letter. Dear Mr. Morris, pursuant to General Law 138, Sections 23 and 64, the Rowley Board of Selectmen, in its capacity as a local licensing authority for the sale of alcoholic beverages in the town of Rowley, hereby notifies you of a hearing to be held on Monday, October 29, 7:30 p.m. in the Selectmen's Office, Rowley Town Hall, where the board will consider whether to impose disciplinary sanctions against the Rowley Veterans Association, the licensee, including without limitation, the modification, suspension, revocation, or cancellation of the annual license authorizing the sale of alcoholic beverages for consumption on the premises that the board has granted to the licensee. The hearing shall concern allegations that the licensee has failed and refused in violation of applicable law, to seek approval of a change of manager and/or change in beneficial interest. You are invited to attend and present such evidence as you have that may bear on the charges. You have the right to be represented by counsel. Our town administrator will speak about the basis for this hearing.
Mr. Chairman, the Rowley Veterans Association has a club license issued to the town of Rowley and the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission. The ABCC license manager of record is Michelle Moon. Ms. Moon informed us on July 26, 2018, that she had resigned her position at the RVA. The Board of Selectmen was informed during a meeting on August 13th that there was a new member to the RVA Board of Directors, Dan LaRochelle. Both of these changes require a filing of a multiple amendments application with the Board of Selectmen as soon as possible. The Board of Selectmen has repeatedly requested the RVA to file this application. Copies of the letters were sent to the RVA between July 30th, 2018 to September 27th, 2018, and copies of those are in your packet. The RVA filed a multiple amendments application today, but we haven't had a chance to review that yet. So issues for the Board of Selectmen to consider at this meeting are the following. The change of manager. The Board of Selectmen's office was informed by Michelle Moon once again on July 28, 2018, that she was no longer working at the RVA. The RVA did not inform the town that she was no longer working there. We had to send a letter to the RVA President Stephen Morris on August 9, 2018, requesting him to attend the August 13th Selectmen's meeting for an update on the status of the manager's position. The ABCC requirements are clear, and I quote that, "The licensee is required to petition the LLA and the ABCC for a change of manager immediately." An application for a change of manager was filed today, so we do have that. But we do have to review that. And schedule a public hearing on that application, and I'm suggesting a November 19th public hearing date. That application will have to be advertised in the newspaper, abutters have to be notified, so there is a process that has to follow on that. And the legal notice has to be in the newspaper not less than 10 days before the date of that hearing. So these are very serious operational issues involving the liquor license, and the RVA president should have been more proactive in informing the Board of Selectmen of these changes. The second important issue was the change of board of directors. The Board of Selectmen found out by chance during the August 13th meeting that there was a change in the board of directors. The RVA should have immediately filed an application for a change in the board of directors immediately after making that vote on their board. And that also is, we're talking about an ABCC filing, it also has to be filing with the Secretary of State that precedes that filing with the liquor license. The third issue is the occupancy of the second floor of the building. Building Inspector Ken Ward and Fire Chief James Broderick informed the RVA that the second floor of the building cannot be used because a stairway was removed. The demolition of the stairs occurred without obtaining a permit from the building inspector. The RVA then started to build a new set of stairs without filing for the building permit. The RVA continued to hold events in the second floor hall despite the order from the building inspector. So we do have a memo in our possession from the building inspector and a notice for a community potluck that was to be scheduled at this facility on October 13th. The current license provides for alcohol to be served in the lounge, service bar downstairs, and in the assembly hall service upstairs. So the fire chief and the building inspector will discuss that, because the license that's issued by the town provides for service on the second floor, which has been shut down now by the building inspector. And that's part of the review under the state liquor license law, is that the building inspector and the fire chief on every pouring establishment have to inspect it every year and sign off on that. The outside patio and serving alcohol outside the building. The RVA was serving alcohol outside of the building under the current license. An unpermitted outside seating area was constructed by the RVA and was only recently dismantled. The RVA filed for an application for an outside patio liquor license application last spring, and this was done under the prior manager of record, Ms. Moon. The application had a defective abutters notice, and the RVA withdrew their application. The RVA was told by the Board of Selectmen to meet with the planning board on a site plan application to build an outside seating area. The RVA was told that after receiving the site plan approval from the planning board, then they could come and file for the outside patio liquor license with the Board of Selectmen. The RVA had events outside, including live music. There's some pictures in your packet. So as a side note to that, on the music piece, they would be required to have an entertainment license for live music or any music that's amplified under the provisions of Chapter 140. So the building inspector will speak on that issue. And then just a few miscellaneous issues that need to be brought up. If the RVA needs to have an entertainment, they need to have an entertainment license if they're going to be having musical concerts. So apparently there was a musical event this past Friday evening. They should have applied for an entertainment license for that. And secondly, it is a club license, which means that the organization may serve alcohol beverages only to members of the club. However, a guest of the member may be served an alcoholic beverage after he or she has been introduced by the member as a guest, and then if the member leaves, then the guest has to leave. That's how it operates under a club license, different from a tavern license, under a pouring establishment. So, Mr. Chairman, the building inspector's here, and the fire chief, and the police chief.
Thank you. Ken, would you like to speak first?
All right, I'll take over, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll take over.
Just state your name.
Oh, Ken Ward, probably building inspector. I'll start last fall, we did our liquor license inspection, and every 5 years, any establishment, assembly use, school, has to have, that has a second means of egress, outside stairways, whether it's a fire escape or wooden stairways, have to be inspected every 5 years. So the 5-year inspection was last year. I knew there was issues with it, but I told her to have a structural engineer, told Michelle to have a structural engineer check it out. At some point, a structural engineer did do it, and she didn't get it done. It was done by somebody from the club. But anyways, it was done, and he condemned the staircase on the south side. And he also said that the staircase, the other egress staircase that goes through the back storage area, needed to be looked at immediately, too. So I said, listen, I don't want to shut you down. I'll let you keep going, okay? Just get it done as soon as possible. That was a year ago. The beginning of the summer, I went by there one day and saw that the outside staircase on the south side had been ripped off. No permit was applied for. I didn't know anything about it. I watched. I just assumed somebody would be coming in for a permit. Like I said, that was early in the summer. Nobody ever came in. The fire chief and I were talking about the fact that they might be using the upstairs, and we were concerned because of the egress issue. I sent a letter to Stephen Morris on August 20th stating that the upstairs was not to be used. Never got a response. There was no club manager of record to talk to. We wanted to have an appointment with Jim Morris. We never got a response. Then on October 13th, I think it was October 13th, or no. I don't know. Debbie called me on a Friday anyways, and they were having something that was going on, a function that weekend. And they were gonna use the second floor, so I immediately went down there, met the fire chief. I went down there, and there was a gentleman that was working on the staircase that had been taken off. And I said, what are you doing? There's no permit. Stop. And he did. I asked for the manager who wasn't the manager of record, Carmack, and he was not there. I was told he was not there. He was at the bank. So I went to the back door, waited for him to arrive. Excuse me. And in the meantime, I was talking to the gentleman that I'd stopped from doing the work, and he said that he didn't know what was going on because he was told that it was all set. Go ahead and do the job. I said, well, it's not all set. There's no building permit. Stop. Carmack came back. We were standing outside the back door, and I saw the area that was set up with 2 picnic tables with umbrellas, right? No chairs. The chairs were against the back wall, but it was fenced in. And I said, I talked to him first about not using the second floor. Then I said, and what is this? You're not allowed to have outdoor seating. And he said, they just smoke out here. And I said, I don't care if they're out here sitting, gazing at the stars. No outdoor seating is allowed without going to the planning board. You were told that. I told a couple of different people that. We get to the point, this is the last part of it, we get to the point where the gentleman that I stopped that was doing the permit called me a week ago Wednesday and asked if he'd come down and get the permit. And I said, why would I give you a permit, okay, when you haven't done anything right? Not you personally, but the club has not done anything right. I said, I'm inclined to wait until after the selectmen have the hearing and see if we get the paperwork. And I said, and furthermore, on my way in this morning, I drove by and the outdoor seating that I told you to take out of there, that the club was told to take out of there, is still up. That was last Friday, and it was still up. He said, Ken, I'll go down there and I'll get rid of it. I'm on my way down right now. And he did. He took care of it. So I've been talking to him. He told me some things that we won't get into that, but bottom line is that he needs to do this to recoup some money. I said, I'm not gonna budge on giving the permit until after the selectmen have the hearing. I said, but come down and give me the permit so I have it on my desk for Tuesday morning. And he came in today, and I was, on the text that I have, I was informed that Steve Morris would be in my office this morning. I never saw him. The person came down with the permit application, and he said, I can't file it. And I said, why? He said, because they owe light department. I said, okay, well, leave it on the desk. When you get the sign off, then come back, depending on what happens with the selectmen. Well, that's where we stand.
Ken, who did you talk to when you went there originally? You said a person named Comac?
He was the, I don't know what you call him, an acting manager. He thought he was the manager, but he wasn't the manager.
Because like we got the list of board of directors and stuff, there's nobody by that name on that list even, so this guy come out of the blue, I guess.
No, he was there. He was.
Yeah, but he was there, but I mean, I don't see him.
No.
He's not listed on our.
No. I said, who's
Board of
in
directors.
charge? And they said, Cormac, and he's at the bank. So he's the one I waited for.
So we got no idea
No.
who's operating over there or
No.
who's doing what at this point.
No, and that's one of the reasons, Dave, why I never went down there, because I'm not gonna talk to, I don't know who's in charge. I wanna talk to the president.
This has been going on for a year.
No.
Well, the latest is just a few months. I mean, we're
This is
talking.
going on all
I
summer.
mean, Michelle Moon was back in July.
I just assumed, okay,
I know.
silly me, but I assumed that they would do the work when the weather got good in the spring. And nothing happened until I went by one day and the deck was ripped off. And that just, not acceptable.
Okay, our fire chief, James Broderick, is also here. Chief, do you want to add to this discussion?
Everything Ken says, I was there when most of it was said. Yes, I agree with everything he said. Really nothing more I can add to it.
Okay. Do you want to address the fire safety issue?
The fire safety issues pertaining to the regulations and all that is kind of minuscule to the emergency access egress area, which falls under the building code, believe it or not.
Right.
But when we do go out and do our inspections, it's usually the same thing every year we go out there. Emergency lights aren't working, trash accumulation, minor stuff that's usually corrected right away, but it's always the same thing. The one thing I can say is that when you have functions, they're supposed to have a crowd manager, and licensed certified crowd managers through the DFS, Department of Fire Services. It's an online class. Excuse me. It doesn't cost anything to take. I don't know how many people right now have it down there. I know there was 3. I know 2 of them don't work there anymore. Jimmy Edwards was one, and Michelle Moon was the other. They're supposed to manage to make sure that the occupancy load of the building doesn't get overloaded, downstairs as well as upstairs. And I believe downstairs is 99 people. That includes staff, patrons, and whatever else. And then I'm not sure what the upstairs is off the top of my head.
125.
But the same thing. Staff is part of the occupancy load, and they're supposed to monitor, make sure that it doesn't get overloaded, and keep records of it. So when we do our inspections, if they're asked for it, to present it to us. We haven't gone down there this year, so for our annual inspection, so I haven't been asking anything as of yet.
Mhm.
But that's required, and this was all in lieu of the legislation that was passed back in 2004 to require sprinkler systems in nightclubs, bars. We had issues back a few years ago, and this is what we came up with as an agreement. to ensure that the occupancy permits, the levels don't exceed the permit. But I don't know, you know, I don't think there's any issues with the second floor right now, because as far as I know, it hasn't been used since it was